Welcome to IAS Project. We are continuing with the videos on Indian economy for UPSC Civil Services Exam. Let's talk about GDP. We have already seen in our previous video that national income can be measured using three methods. The first one is production method, second one is income method, and the third one we have called it as expenditure method. Expenditure method is also called as consumption method. So GDP is a measure of national income when we measure in terms of production method. So let's see what GDP is. GDP stands for gross domestic product. The concept of GDP in modern economy was given by Simon Kuznet in 1934. This concept of modern GDP was given during the period of Great Depression, which happened between 1929 and 1939. The need for a measurement like GDP was especially felt during the Great Depression period, because only by measuring what is the national income can the government take policy measures in order to increase it or to stop decreasing of national income, which was actually happening during the Great Depression period. So let's see about Simon Kuznet. Simon Kuznet has given a theory called Kuznet's curve. Let's see what Kuznet's curve is. Kuznet's curve is basically a hypothesis. Hypothesis means it is not proven, but it is a theory. What Kuznet's curve is simply here. On x-axis, we have economic growth. Economic growth is often measured in terms of per capita income, or it is sometimes measured in terms of time also. On the y-axis, we have inequality. Inequality is measured using Gini coefficient. So on x-axis we have economic growth, and on y-axis we have inequality, which is usually measured using Gini coefficient. So the Simon-Kuznet curve is something like this. Kuznet's curve is basically an inverted U-shaped curve. So let's try to explain what this curve means. When the economic growth or per capita income is very low, inequality rises as per capita income increases. So as we move in this direction, that is, as economic growth increases, inequality also increases. At one point, it reaches peak inequality, and after reaching here, with further economic growth or with further increase in per capita income, economic inequality will then decrease. So finally, when economic growth has reached its maximum potential, inequality will become zero. We must remember that Kuznet's curve is only a hypothesis. It has not been proven. However, it has been disproven many times. For example, in the periods after 1970s, in America or in USA, basically what happened was economic growth has taken place. That is, per capita incomes have increased. However, inequality has also increased. We know that in the second phase, when per capita income increases for a developed country, inequality is supposed to decrease. However, this was not the case. In USA, inequalities increased further like this. So with increase in per capita income in the USA after 1970s, inequalities further increased. So this shows that Kuznet's curve is not true. Let's go back to GDP concept. So we talked about Kuznet's curve and what GDP stands for. Let's look at the definition of GDP. The simplest definition of GDP is given in the first statement here. GDP is nothing but the value of all final goods and services produced within the boundary of a nation during 1 year period. So if we see, there are three keywords here. It is final, it is within the boundary, and it is during 1 year period. Let's see these key terms one by one. The first one is within the 1 year period. This means that whatever is the value of final goods and services we are measuring, it has to be measured within 1 year period. And this 1 year period is usually a financial year. For example, in the case of India, it is from 1st April onwards to 31st March of next year. The financial year starting and ending may be different for different countries. This is only the case for India here. So the first one is 1 year period, which we have seen that it is nothing but financial year. And the second keyword is boundary. This means that, for example, if we have India, let's suppose this is the territory of India. In India, whatever companies and whatever individuals are producing final goods and services, all those goods and services value will be counted towards GDP. Those goods and services may be provided by domestic companies, they may be provided by foreign companies. So both are included in the GDP. So whatever is being produced by, for example, let's say Maruti Suzuki, as well as whatever is being produced by Volkswagen or Audi, both are included in the GDP. Let's make it a bit complicated. Let's see what is the definition for GDP that is given in SNA 2008, that is System of National Accounts Standards of 2008. If you are not aware of what SNA 2008 is, please check our video on SNA 2008. The link for the video is given in the description section, which is below this video. SNA 2008, it describes GDP as GDP at market prices. We already know what market prices are. Market prices are those prices at which goods and services are available to the end users in the market. So, GDP at market prices is equal to sum of gross value added or sum of GVA of all resident units plus taxes minus subsidies on the products during period of 1 year. So let's see the keywords which are given in this definition. Period of 1 year simply means again 1 financial year. Let's see what resident units are in the next slide. But before that, the sum of GVA of all resident units at market prices is considered as GDP. So let's see what is resident unit. Within the SNA, there is a concept called resident unit. Let's see the definition first and then understand what resident unit is. Resident unit concept simply means that whenever an institutional unit has a center of significant economic interest within the economic territory of a country for at least a period of 1 year, it is called as a resident unit of that country. Let's see again with the example of India. And let's see another example. Let's say this is USA. So we have India and we have USA. Let's say there are people, that is individuals or households working in India and companies working in India. Whichever individuals and companies are staying in India for at least 1 year, as well as having significant economic interest center here, that is in India, their goods and services production or their gross value added is counted as GDP. Let me repeat this once again. Within the economic territory of India, whatever the individuals, that is households and companies are there, whatever goods and services they are producing and whatever gross value addition they are doing, all that gross value addition is counted towards GDP of economic territory of India. Similarly, whatever individuals and households are present within USA and whatever companies are present within USA, the value addition by both these entities is added towards the value of GDP of USA. So, the individuals here may be foreign or may be citizens of India. However, they have to stay in India for at least a period of 1 year, and a center of significant interest should exist for those companies that are present in India. Again, they may be foreign or they may be Indian, but they have to have a significant economic interest within India. So the contribution of all those companies will be counted towards GDP. Let's go further. Whenever somebody says just GDP, it always means GDP at market prices. So we already have learned that whenever someone says just GVA, it means GVA at basic prices. So just GDP means GDP at market prices. We have already learned what basic prices are and market prices are, as well as factor cost. If you are not aware of this, please check the description section for the video which has that content. So GDP unless specified refers to GDP at market prices. And what is GDP at market prices? It is nothing but GDP at basic prices plus product taxes minus subsidies. Product taxes minus subsidies is often called as net indirect taxes. So GDP is a production measure. As we have seen, we have three kinds of methods for measuring national income. The first one is production method, and GDP is nothing but a production measure. It is not an income measure. We know that if we use income method, we will end up with gross national income or net national income, not with GDP. This kind of question may be simply asked in prelims. So please remember this concept. Let's follow up in the next video. Please like and share this video. Also subscribe to IAS Project. Thank you.